episode of It's a Twin Thing. Hey, did we do a good news, an inspirational in our last Twinspiration?
I don't know, I think so.
Okay, I couldn't remember doing one, but I'm sure we did.
I had a good one for today, and then I realized we didn't need one.
I know, well, I almost said welcome to Twinspiration, but I don't know why.
Well, we could do Twinspiration.
Yeah, but we don't have anything Twinspiring to talk about.
We could pretend. I could be someone else you could interview me.
Okay, who should you be? Who should we interview?
I'll be,
You could be Jessica Chastain, and I could be you when you were high.
Yeah.
We still need to tell you.
We should probably do it the other way, because I can be me.
Yeah, we still need to tell your getting high story.
Yeah, I could be Sweeney Todd.
Yeah. We'll interview Sweeney Todd since
Okay.
you think Sweeney Todd is inspiring.
Okay.
None of our listeners have any idea what we're talking about right now. You'll have to listen to our next It's a Twin Thing episode, and we will tell the story of Ashley getting high and how she thought that Sweeney Todd, who, if you don't know, is a character from a musical, that he's a murderer. But she kept saying, Sweeney Todd is inspiring.
But just a disclaimer, I got high on medication, not that I was just being a crazy
Yeah,
person.
she got high on accident.
Yeah.
But it was really funny, and we'll have to share. But you'll have to live in suspense until then.
That's 2 whole weeks they'll have to be in suspense.
I know, unless we don't
Ooh.
get a Twinspiration guest, and then they'll get to listen to it.
That's
next week.
true.
Speaking of murderers, we're going to be talking about scary things on our episode today.
You might not want to listen to this one. Trigger warning.
Yeah, not trigger warning, like scariness warning.
That is a trigger warning.
Today we are talking about irrational fears. Dun dun dun. The problem with this episode, though, is that only a couple of my fears are irrational. The rest of them are very rational. Like, I was trying to think about them today, and I was like, well, all of these are rational, like, for me. Because one of my biggest fears is being kidnapped, which, if you were a 6'7" man, that might be a little bit irrational, because you're probably not going to get kidnapped. But when you're a 5-foot-tall girl who looks like she's 12, being kidnapped is a very real possibility.
Today you look like you could be 14 or 15. No one would kidnap you now.
Yeah, no one wants a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just kidding. No offense to any 14-year-olds who are listening to this.
Yeah, but I would say that between the two of us, we have a pretty significant amount of irrational fears.
I think you have more irrational fears than anyone in the world.
I don't think more than anyone. I also can't think of any right now.
Really? Well, you better start thinking of some, because you have a lot.
I know.
Okay, I'll tell my... Well, should I tell my one that you don't know first, or should I tell my one that's not scary? It's just an embarrassment fear. Because all the rest of mine are scary fears.
Okay, tell your embarrassment fear first.
Okay.
Is it going into the wrong classroom in elementary school?
No, that already happened to me, so I already lived through that.
What if you went into the wrong college classroom? Like
no one would notice, because there's like 200 people in every class.
Not in some of them.
Also, in middle school and high school, I would go into the wrong, especially in middle school, because we had this rotating class schedule, and I would always go into the wrong classroom at the wrong time. I just lived with it.
Gotcha.
Okay, so most of my fears, my irrational fears, are things I'm scared of happening, because, like, I'm scared something bad is going to happen. This is just an irrational fear that's probably not going to happen, but I'm paranoid about.
Well, I know what it is.
And it started because it did happen, but not, like, it wasn't bad when it happened. But anyway,
I kind of think we had this fear before that happened.
Really? No, I don't think it ever occurs to me. But I'll just tell you guys what it is instead of giving a whole explanation about it. So I am very afraid that when I'm talking about people, that my phone is going to be recording me and send it to them. And it's not like I'm this huge gossip that I'm just constantly talking about people, but, you know, you just talk about so-and-so did something so annoying, or I think it's so funny how so-and-so does this. This happened one time because I was texting one of my friends from choir, and I don't even know how this happened, but Ashley and I were talking, and I was just talking about our choir concert and all of this stuff about choir, and then the next text I got from her was some comments about what I was saying about choir, and I realized that I had somehow been recording our conversation and sent her this 3-minute long audio recording of me just like babbling on and on about choir, and I wasn't saying anything bad about it. I think I was talking about...
You were talking about how you were going to win so many awards at the choir awards night.
Well, I mean, we knew what awards we were getting already, so it wasn't like, oh, I'm so amazing, I'm going to get all these awards. It was just, we had done this choir awards night many times before, and I never really got that many awards. You got awards for different things that you did, and I never really did that many of them, but then that year I did. Anyway, the point to that story is that I am very worried that that is going to happen now, so whenever I'm talking about someone, then I'm like, wait, I have to make sure it's not recording.
Or like if you're talking about boys or something, and then you, I mean, not that you do that very often, but you're like, wait, I have to make sure.
Or like, not that we ever do this, but if I'm complaining about Ashley to one of my parents, or I'm talking about something silly that one of my parents did to my sister, and then I'm like, I hope they don't hear this.
Yeah, you never complain about me to them.
No, I don't.
Well, maybe you didn't have that fear before that happened. I feel like for most of my life, I've had this major fear of people hearing me talk about them. Like when we were in elementary school and I would say things about people in the car or whatever after school, and I would say like, so-and-so did this, or so-and-so was being annoying today, or whatever, I would always check in the trunk to make sure they weren't hiding back there listening to me.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
You don't remember that?
No.
Oh my gosh, I don't know why I thought that would ever happen. And you know what else? I used to be paranoid that people were recording us in our house, because sometimes, like, the lights would flash or something.
When there was lightning, I always thought it was paparazzi taking pictures of me.
Like, it was just like a light flash or something, but I would always be like, oh no, they're recording me.
It's Big Brother.
I would be so worried that people were going to be, like, watching me go to the bathroom.
Yeah, that was the thing, is it was always, because we had this window in our bathroom, and so whenever I was in that bathroom and there would be lightning or something, I was like, uh-oh, someone's taking a picture of me.
And I would, like, check out. I would stand on the toilet so I could see out the window. Don't worry, the top was closed, but so I could see out the window, because I was always worried that someone was gonna like fly a drone camera by the window and take pictures of me. I don't know where I ever got that idea from. I kind of think it might have been from a book that I was probably not old enough to read, but...
Well, I used to be really afraid of people hiding in our shower and they were gonna abduct us. So I could not have the shower curtain closed. Like, it would always need to be open, and sometimes still when it's in the middle of the night and I go in the bathroom and the shower curtain's closed, I just have to open it and make sure no one's in there.
I do that too. I don't know why, because who would ever be hiding in our shower?
I know, but I feel like there's this story of someone that went to USC who, I can't remember if they were hiding in their closet or their shower, but there was someone hiding in one of those places in their apartment and just like came out while they were in their apartment.
You know what I was afraid of when we were little, speaking of things hiding in your closet? Well, it wasn't really in my closet, it was under my bed, but if you haven't read Junie B. Jones, it's this kids book series about this girl who's in kindergarten, and so there's this one book about her being afraid of a monster being under her bed, and the picture on the cover is like this silly blue monster poking its head out from under her bed. It's not in the least bit scary, but when I was little, I was terrified of this monster, and I had read the book, and I knew it wasn't scary, but we had the whole Junie B. Jones series, so I would have to hide the monster book every night because I was afraid of the monster, like, coming out and being under my bed. We had so many irrational fears when we were younger.
Yeah, but every kid is afraid of monsters being under their bed. I always thought, though, that the monsters could only get me if I was afraid of my feet touching the ground.
Yeah, because they were going to grab your ankles and drag you under the bed. Yeah, me too. But we were afraid of owls living in our walls.
Yeah, but that was when we were, like, 3.
Yeah.
We were also afraid of elephants when we were 1, but that wasn't really irrational. It's like how every baby's afraid of Santa Claus, but it's not irrational. Okay, do you want to know the irrational fear that I have that I don't think you know about?
Yes.
I feel like I had a teacher that told me that this was a thing, but I kind of can't imagine that actually happened, so I'm sure it must have been in a book or a movie or something. But in my head, it was our 9th grade biology teacher, because it was when we were learning about fatal familial insomnia.
Oh, I'm afraid of that.
But then I feel like he said that there was some disease where your hand could get like a muscle spasm or something while you were sleeping, that people have died from this because they strangle themselves in their sleep.
Oh my gosh, now I'm going to be afraid of that.
I just will randomly I have lots of reasons why I'm afraid of dying in my sleep my whole life. I sometimes just am really terrified that my hand is going to become a zombie and strangle myself while I'm sleeping. And before I knew about that, I was really afraid of getting strangled by like a necklace or by my headphones or something. So when people would fall asleep wearing something around their neck, I would freak out.
There's a lot of rare fatal diseases that I am very afraid of.
If you want to hear about the rare fatal disease that I'm afraid of, you can listen to our Things We Thought When We Were Younger podcast.
Hear how Aspen had an amoeba.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you got your back surgery and you were afraid that they were going to give you mad cow disease, or that one of the surgeons was going to be a terrorist?
Yes, and those were very valid fears. The same biology teacher told us about some hospital or something where they didn't properly sterilize the surgical tools, and a bunch of people got mad cow disease, which mad cow disease doesn't manifest until like 10 years after you are infected or something.
So we don't even know if you have it.
I know, so that's like what's really scary to me. The whole idea of that is really scary. So I was so afraid, and I asked, because I went to tour the hospital or something before I got my surgery, and I asked the lady that was giving me the tour if she could confirm that they were sterilized. And then I asked the anesthesiologist, and I asked the surgeon, and I asked pretty much anyone who came into my room. And then I had this whole list of questions for I don't even remember who it was, but someone came in before they took me back for my surgery and asked me if I had questions, and I had this whole list, and one of them was if they had background checks on everybody who was going to be in the operating room to make sure that they weren't terrorists. Because I don't know why, I don't know where I got this idea, but I was just like, if there's someone, well, I think because you hear all these like crazy stories about nurses who will murder people, so I was just really afraid that someone was going to do that to me. But you have an insane, I mean, you've gotten better about it this year because you've had to have it so many times, but you have an insane irrational fear of shots and blood draws.
Yeah, I do. Well, first I was going to say, I'm sure that someone would just be like, oh yeah, we do have a nurse who's a terrorist, but don't worry, so far they haven't killed anybody.
I think I thought if they knew that I was onto them, then they wouldn't try anything,
Oh, gotcha. That's a good tactic. Or they would, so they could get rid of you since you were on.
Well, yeah, them. but then my parents would know. Oh, it was a terrorist or it was a murderer. I don't know why I said terrorist, because it could just be a serial killer.
Yes, well, I have a fear of needles, but a lot of people have a fear of needles. But my fear isn't so much about them hurting. I mean, I certainly don't like when they hurt, and I don't want them to hurt. But it's like, how do I even explain this? I can't stand the thought of it like being in my skin, and there's certain spots in my elbow that it freaks me out. Like if they wanted to draw blood out of my knee or my stomach or something, it would not bother me in the least bit.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I would not want someone to stick something in my knee.
I don't know why. There's just something about my elbow that it just, especially when it's like right in that center spot, just, it freaks me out so much. I can't stand when people are sitting and they do that thing where they lean back on their hands and they straighten their elbows.
She will yell at me every time my elbow is straight.
It freaks me out so much.
That's probably why your joints hurt so bad, because they can't stand not being straight forever. Like, that's so uncomfortable.
My elbows are the only ones that I don't straighten, and my elbows don't hurt, so I hate having stuff injected into me because I can just feel it. Like, I had to have an MRI a couple weeks ago with contrast, which is where they give you an IV and they inject stuff in you to, like, go through your bloodstream into your brain, and I could just feel it floating into my blood, and it was disgusting. My dad was just telling me this story about this dentist that was poisoning his patients, and there's all these stories.
Why would he tell you that?
I don't know, but you hear all these stories about these doctors and nurses that are poisoning their patients, so I'm always afraid that when they're, like, putting the saline in or something that it's gonna be, like, poison. But even if it's not, it still freaks me out, but it freaks me out a lot more than it might be poison. I hate it!
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring up so much trauma for you.
That's okay.
Okay, should we talk about my biggest irrational fear that I've had my whole life?
What is it?
Since I was 3 years old, I have been very, very afraid of escalators. Not just going down and just getting on them. Once I'm on, it's fine. But I almost tripped getting on one of them when I was 3.
You almost tripped! Aspen!
No, like, almost fell down the entire escalator. Not just, like, tripped over my shoe and caught myself. So I don't know why, but my whole life I've just not been able to get over my fear of getting on escalators to go down. And I mean, I will do it. I've done it by myself plenty of times, but I still hesitate and have to really gather up some courage to do it.
But if she's with someone, she has to have help getting on.
Not help, I just ask for them to hold my hand just so that I have a little extra safety.
Yeah, but she also can't bring suitcases on an escalator.
No, that's not true. I've brought suitcases on escalators all the time.
Oh.
I usually just pick them up because I feel like if they're rolling, they're more of a tripping hazard.
I have a fear, not really an irrational fear, I think it's just a normal level fear, but I always am afraid when I'm it's more when I'm going up on escalators or when I'm standing on a ladder or something that I'm gonna fall backwards off of it. And then I always wonder why, because it's not like I just fall backwards all the time when I'm standing up.
Oh my gosh, I am so afraid of stairs at water parks on water slides. I am so scared that the stairs are just gonna break while you're on them. And, like, I'm not afraid of going on the water slide. I'm just afraid of waiting in line and that the stairs are going to break because they're always so dingy and creaky. And I'm just so afraid that they're going to break and you're just going to fall right through. I also used to be, I'm not afraid of this anymore, but I used to be really afraid after we went to see the movie Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs that the floor in my room was gonna fall through and my bed was gonna fall.
Oh, I was afraid of that too.
That I would fall through the floor and just, like, go kaput and die.
I was always afraid of my bed falling over the railing of our staircase because my bed is on the second floor.
But it's not anywhere close.
I don't know how on earth I thought this was gonna happen, but I would have so many nightmares. I think my fear was that the railing would fall down and then my bed would just, like, slip off. But again, my bed is all the way in my bedroom, so it would be really hard for it to get all the way out of my bedroom. And actually, I'm pretty sure my bed is too wide to even fit through the door frame.
Yeah.
So I don't really think there was a need to be afraid of that. But you know what else I always had nightmares about that this is really scary, so you might want to cover your ears or take your earbuds out.
Should I not listen?
No, you know this.
Oh, okay.
I have this stuffed animal named Teddy that is a teddy bear, as you could probably guess. I got him at a garage sale when I was 5. He was the first thing that I bought with my own money, and he cost $1. And he's not my favorite stuffed animal because I don't play favorites, but he was just like
he's my best companion.
Yeah, he was like my companion. My whole childhood, I would have these nightmares that Teddy turned into like a chocolate bunny, but not quite, because he was still Teddy. But I would eat him.
So everyone thought this was going in the direction of she thought that Teddy was possessed or something, but no, she was just scared she was going to eat her teddy bear.
In this dream, Like, he would be a
Just like chocolate with marshmallow on the inside?
He would be a chocolate bunny, except it was kind of more like cotton candy, because I would bite the brown part of his fur and then peel it all off like cotton candy, but it was chocolate. And then I would have no more Teddy because I ate him. This was very, very distressing for me. It's still distressing to think about.
Speaking of animals, I have an irrational fear of raccoons. They just really freak me out. I think it's because they almost look like dogs that you can imagine when Pumpkin puts his paws on your leg, but they're gross. And just you wouldn't want them climbing up on you. So my first near-death experience with a raccoon was I was babysitting and my mom drove me. I can't remember why. It must have been raining or something because they lived in our neighborhood. But my mom drove me to drop me off and we got to their house. It was nighttime. It was dark. And I was about to get out of the car and a raccoon ran right up onto their porch and was like standing by the door. And I was like, I can't go in. I can't go by the raccoon. I just had to sit out there and wait until the raccoon left. And luckily they had a Ring doorbell, so they saw that I was out there and that there was a raccoon there. So it wasn't like I was rude and late. They saw that there was a raccoon, but it was really scary. And I was like, what would have happened if I had opened the car door and I didn't see it and then I would have been attacked? And then there have been 2 times on campus at USC that I've been walking back from class in the dark and all of a sudden turned around and saw rustling right by the film school and there's raccoons in the bushes. I don't know why they're always by the film school. They must want to be famous or something.
Yeah.
But it's been at the same sidewalk. There's like this teeny tiny little bush area thing. It's super narrow. And then the sidewalk. And I'm like right against the edge of the sidewalk. The raccoon was inches away from me both times. One time I was on the phone with my mom. So at least, I don't know what I thought that was going to do. But it made me feel better than when I was all by myself and almost died. Like at least she would have heard me being attacked by a raccoon and could have called 911 or something.
Well, I'm glad you haven't been attacked by a raccoon yet.
My next one on my list is I'm really afraid of spoons. There was one time that someone was staying with us for a couple days to take care of us while our parents were out of town. And we went to some restaurant. It was a Pizza Hut or something because they had plastic spoons. Or maybe it was like the food court at Target. I don't even know.
Have we ever eaten at the food court at Target?
With this person, or maybe we were at Chuck E. Cheese. It doesn't really matter. We were somewhere that had plastic silverware. And they were eating off of this plastic spoon. And then I needed a spoon. And instead of going to get me another one, they just gave me the spoon they were eating off of. And it had like their spit all over it. Like you could see it.
Ew.
And ever since then, I just really don't like spoons. I'm just so afraid of them having germs all over them. And so I really will not eat off of a spoon unless I absolutely have to. Like, I'll eat I'll eat soup with a fork. Oh my gosh!
Wow, you can't
I can't talk. I will eat soup with a spoon and yogurt. But most other things, even chili and mac and cheese and things like that, I will eat with a fork. Ugh. And when I eat with a spoon, I won't put my mouth around it. I will just slurp it off the edge because I don't want it in my mouth. Blah.
Spoons are really disgusting when you think about it. Like, you just keep putting this thing in your mouth and then putting it back in your food.
Also, I don't like milk in my cereal, but when someone serves me dry cereal and then they give me a spoon for it,
do not eat dry cereal with a spoon.
I don't know why, but the idea of eating something that dry with a spoon just makes me want to throw up. It's so
gross.
Spitty. Oh.
Okay, thought of something. I thought of
Okay.
one. When I was younger, I don't so much have this anymore, but I still have a little bit of a residual fear of this. I used to have a major fear of the ocean, but it had nothing to do with being at the ocean or going in the ocean or sharks it was sharks, but it wasn't just sharks. It was drowning and sharks, and it was the ocean in general. In 3rd grade, we did an ocean unit in science, and I was dreading this unit all year, and I was terrified of it because if I would see a picture of the ocean or we would be watching a video about the ocean, I really don't know why, but I could not stand thinking about the ocean or seeing the ocean.
I feel like you've said a lot of irrational fears that you had when you were little, but you're literally afraid of everything. So there has to be something that you're afraid of now that you can talk about.
I don't have any fears.
Right.
I mean, I don't have any irrational fears. I have a lot of normal, regular fears, like about serial killers and being burned in the oven and being
yeah, you
executed.
should talk about your being burned in the oven.
We already talked about that.
We did.
Yeah, and I'm not going to talk about it again because I don't want to give people any ideas.
We're both afraid of being guillotined.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
We had to watch a movie in German where someone was guillotined.
I'm so afraid of that.
Ugh, I don't even want to think about it.
People think that those kinds of things are irrational because they're not very likely to happen, but it's still something to be afraid. It's not like I walk around my whole life like I can't do anything because I'm going to be guillotined. I have to wear a neck brace. I don't do any of that.
That's a good idea. You should walk around with a neck brace.
I am so afraid of things touching my neck.
Oh my gosh, me too.
Because
it's part of my being strangled fear.
I'm afraid that it's either going to strangle me or it's going to cut my head off.
I'm also really afraid of my trachea breaking.
Like, I just don't want anybody to touch my neck. I hate when people touch my neck. I hate when things are around my neck.
When I have to get makeup done for film or for theater and people put makeup on my neck, I want to cough in their face. I sound like I'm really mean, but it's just like a natural reaction that when someone touches my neck, I'm like, you're strangling me.
Yeah, it's not like I want to cough in your face to be mean and make you go away. It's like a reflex.
Like, yeah, you feel like you can't control it, but you're like, I can't cough in this person's face.
It's a miracle we're still alive.
I know,
all
it
these
really
things
is.
out to get us.
More because of all the stupid things that I do. This is just a sidebar, but can I share the really scary, or not really scary, can I share the really stupid thing I did the other day?
Sure.
So,
did I hear about this?
Yeah, you were there.
Oh.
At camp, we bring our own trash bags because our kids make such a mess that we don't want to upset the owners of the studio that we're using. And so I went to take out the trash the other day and I walked all the way out the door to the dumpster. And I got to the dumpster and I looked at it and then I looked down and I was like, what am I doing? Because I didn't have the trash bag with me. So that was pretty smart.
That was
Anyway, sidebar, but we could do a whole episode on the stupid things that Aspen does.
We could do a whole season on it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sure there's plenty of other good ones. Let me think. Oh my gosh, I'm afraid of paper drinking cups. So I don't like paper because I don't like when people scratch it, and there's just a lot of noises that people make with paper that, just really black. But I am really afraid of paper cups because in 8th grade, this kid in my class was drinking water out of a Dixie cup, and he just kept refilling it. Oh, this just freaks me out so much. He kept refilling it, and he kept sticking the end of the paper cup into the roof of his mouth, and he broke through his skin, and his mouth was like gushing blood, and he was turning blue. Oh my gosh.
He was not turning blue.
Yes, they had to take him to the emergency room because he was, like, his whole face wasn't turning blue, but his lips were turning blue. It was so gross. And I'm not even afraid that that's going to happen to me because I don't think I'm ever going to be sticking the cup into my mouth. And I actually think it would be more likely for a plastic cup to break and do that than a paper cup. Using paper drinking cups just makes me think of that, and it just freaks me out so much. I just can't stand it. I hate when people are drinking out of paper cups. If I ever get a paper cup, I will have to pour the water into a water bottle or something. They're so awful. Oh.
Okay, well, on that note, I think Ashley needs a break. But we might have to do a part 2 because she has a lot of irrational fears that we're going to come back to because I feel like this was all just make fun of Aspen's irrational fears when
that is not true.
Ashley has most of the ones.
I just talked about a lot of mine.
Well, anyway, thanks for listening. We hope we didn't scare you too bad.
Yeah.
I hope you can sleep tonight. But if not, you can call us because we'll probably be awake.
Maybe wear a neck brace while you're sleeping so you don't get guillotined.
Yeah.
But also be careful that it doesn't strangle
But
you.
make sure you get enough sleep so you don't get fatal familial insomnia.
Yeah, but also maybe tie your hands down so you don't strangle yourself in your sleep.
You're welcome for all those suggestions. All right.
We're saving lives.
Yeah, I know.
To inspiration.
We should win the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah.
Okay, talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye. I don't know why we both wave. They can't see us.